Hello, Austin, Texas, and welcome to the Home Team with Troy and Colton, where we bring real estate and finances together for your education and hopefully get a little bit of entertainment out of it. This segment is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dreams, right? Your American dream. You can reach out to us, of course, at the QR code, or you can reach out to us at loansfromtroy.com. And we'd also like to welcome our most amazing special guest, the OG of the show. She's been with us for a long, long time. I feel very fortunate to have someone on our show like this because we get a lot of expertise. We're talking 16 plus years in this market, right? 16
When you
plus
says a
years.
long time, you make me feel really
Yeah. But just, she started when she was like 9, okay? So,
Now he's just being nice.
so yeah, but it's important, I think, because there are a lot of newer realtors in our industry. There are a lot of newer realtors in our markets. A lot of people have moved here because this is still one of the better places to move to. I mean, Austin itself, people talk about, but look, Leander, Cedar Park,
Georgetown.
Georgetown, but is it Buda? Buda is still. These are
Idaho.
these are great markets for in the entire country, but nobody's really saying the cities in particular. They just say Austin.
Yes.
And it's funny because we finally have an equilibrium in our market, because Austin hasn't had an equilibrium in its market for a long, long time. And so now the market, but it freaks a lot of people out. There's so many homes on the market. It's a bad market. No, that's not really what's going on. We've actually become more of a normal market.
Yes.
Um,
And I
the,
like that you've touched base on that, right? Because we are saturated not only with a lot of real estate agents, right? But just people in our industry in general. And if you don't do a lot of being in the meat of it, the meat and potatoes of the real estate industry, you might not know, you might think we are in last year's, time. But the thing is, our market has spurts, it changes. And so you want to be prepared for whatever's going on and have someone who can guide you through that. Like a lot of times we had people at the beginning of the year where the market was a little bit slower and they were looking to purchase. And I really love working with Troy because he's really good at also explaining to clients like, hey, if you do wait, right, we're coming up on the faster time of the year. And so if you've signed something now, you need to make a move or you're going to miss that. And then we'll have to start again when it comes to fall. And so it really does work that way. We had this little slowdown, contracted with quite a few people. Then all of a sudden the market picked up and we were seeing multiple offers, not anything like COVID, right? But we were seeing houses get into multiple offers and you had to be strategic when you found the right home. And it's hard for a consumer to put that in their mind because they're like, well, I hear the market's bad. I don't want to pay what they're asking, or I don't want to not ask for closing costs. There's these like little things, right, that could make their offer win compared to someone else's. And the main thing is do you love the home? If you love the home, right, you're gonna be happy living there, then it's worth it to go ahead and try to make your offer a lot stronger. But you want to kind of be prepared and have a team behind you that can make whatever choice you want to make happen. That's always the goal.
Yeah, and what's funny right now is that it's a lot like finances. It's a lot like investing too. When the market's really doing well, people for some reason want to buy. When the market does bad, they want to sell. And I'm like, it's literally the exact opposite of what you should be doing. And purchasing homes is like that. And I've come to coin this little phrase. It's herd buying, right? All of a sudden, no one's looking for a home. There are very few people, very few applications, and all of a sudden, boom. We get a whole bunch where, we go from doing like 5 or 6 pre-applications a week to doing like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes out at the same time. And the next thing you know, you're competing against a bunch of people that weren't trying to buy a home 2 months ago. It's it's weird. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. And it's like just something happens and then a bunch of people decide I'm just going to buy a home. And then you end up having to compete. Whereas if you looked a month earlier, you wouldn't have competed with any of these people. And I can't really give you the understanding of it.
It's like a flow, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been doing this long enough where in healthy, normal markets, right, we have where the market's slow and then it picks up and then it slows down and it picks up. And so if you're looking at purchasing a home, apply for a mortgage now. Reach out to Troy. Then once we get your approval, we can start home shopping. And now between about mid-November, picks up again. November to December, it picks up. January, it usually dies down and it's slow again. So if you have people that have overpriced their homes in the faster time of the year, they are usually now bringing down their pricing and you have more of an advantage to not only get it at that lower pricing, but also get some incentives and closing costs paid. Other things, right, that helps because they weren't able to sell when things were moving quickly.
Absolutely. And so, a couple of things though, but when it's time for you to buy a home, it is time for you to buy a home, right? And so if you do get into competitive offers, we've kind of come up with a few things that can help the buyer, compared to other buyers.
Makes your offer look better.
Yeah, makes your offer look better. One of the things is that, we'll do a lot of work up front. We'll run you through underwriting before you go out there and look. So you can make an offer and try to close in like 15 days. We also have where you can make an offer that is the same as cash, right? We will waive the financing. We will waive the appraisal addendums.
Okay.
And then there's no difference between your loan and a cash loan at that point, right?
Yeah.
The option period is still the option period, and that's when we will do a lot of things. Is the option period, right? But that takes a responsive buyer, it takes an understanding real estate agent of the buyer side, and then we have to move very quickly, right? But if you're same as cash, because if your offer is a little bit more, because cash buyers typically want to pay less, and people will take a few $1,000s less because there's no financing period and there's no appraisal waiver, right? So you waive your appraisal option, you waive your financing period. I'll tell you how we'll take care of that. Don't worry. So that's not like it's really concerned him when I explain this program to him. But that is one. We also have an amazing program that if you're trying to sell your home, right, and you're trying to buy a home and doing it at the same time is very difficult, right? So we have a great program that we can waive the contingency of your selling your home, right? And it allows you have then about 180 days to sell your home, even though you've already purchased another one. So it is a great program.
And a lot of people love that option, right? Buy before you sell. So we can help that happen for you and go through, the comfort of it, because that's really what you're paying for is the comfort, right? To just take off that pressure. You can slowly move into your property, and we go through all the numbers. Like when you close on your loan of the home you're purchasing, when is your first payment? How long is it going to take us to get your home sold? Because our numbers, we're really good at advising you. If we price at this, it looks like, it's amazing because that's what really matters right now is your pricing and how your home shows condition, quality. It goes a long way with buyers right now. And you're in a competitive market, right? So when we go through all those things, we can tell you how long it's going to take to sell and what that process is going to look like.
So there's more buyers than I realize that don't know that your first payment isn't due immediately.
I know.
It's 2 months.
Yeah.
If you close in
Well,
early July, you're gonna have your first payment early
right?
September.
I
Yep.
always make, because I'm a visual person, so I make people pull out their calendar and I'm like, okay, we're gonna look if you close at the beginning of July 1st. You have all of July and then all of August, no payment, first payment September 1st. If you close on the 15th of July, and then we're looking at that, you have the 15th and then the rest of July, no payment, and then August, a full no payment. But if we close July 30th, right, you have no payments till the end of the month.
Yeah.
Which
Still
is now
technically the same month.
and then, August, no payment. First payment is still September 1st. Now, it is in my opinion, it's a mind thing, right? Because you're still collecting interest. Your cash to close is going to be a little bit higher, but in your head, it's like, I get some breathing room for 2 months. What's more important for me? Lesser cash to close or having that breathing room? And we can always work those things out. A lot of times we can use sellers' concessions to cover that cost and give you some breathing room. Or if you're in a lease, a lot of people are like, well, if my lease isn't up for 6 months, I need to shop now. You do not, unless you're wanting to build a home. In order for us to get you the best deal possible, you want to reach out to us about 90 days before your lease is up. That way we have a game plan together and we can smoothly move you through the market without a lot of pressure.
And I'll explain how that works. So what happens is when you close on a 30-year, it's 360 months, 30-year loan, and you close, your loan actually doesn't technically start until the first of the next month. So you will pay interest from the closing date to the end of the month. And then on the first of the next month, that's your first month of your loan. And so then your first payment's due at the end of at the beginning of the next month. So you live in the house 1 month and then you make your payment. So you're paying interest to the end of the month. So it just depends, right? Like you said, if you pay interest from the 15th or you pay it from the 1st, obviously the 1st you're going to have a higher closing cost. And if you close on the 15th, you're going to have a lower closing cost because you're not paying interest from the 1st to the 15th. So the month you close in is technically not part of your mortgage. And so you pay interest to the end of the month. And then the next month it starts and the following month is your first payment.
And if that's your goal, it's good to tell your agent up front that that is your goal. Because if you're under contract and a seller has to go from 1 month to another month, they're paying more interest, they're losing more money. And so there's things that you have to make sure you're very upfront about, because our goal is to have you have a smooth transaction. We want to make it as smooth as possible. And people don't like change. That's just, people don't like that. Same thing with you as a purchaser. You don't want to change. If the seller's like, hey, I want you to close a little later, or I need a couple extra days, it throws people off because they have plans and things in place and expectations, right? So we just want to set those up front.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, it's, you can use that if you're coming out of a lease. So if your last payment on your lease is, the 1st of September, then you want to purchase a home in August through the middle of September so that you're out of that place and you're into your next place. You purchase it in September, you've got October, your first payment's not due till November, right? So you buy the home in September, that's your last lease. Then you get 1 month of no lease or mortgage, and you also have plenty of time to move.
You ever seen the meme where like somebody's eyes are going around and there's all these calculations? That's what's happening right now.
Yes.
That's okay. That's why you reach out to us
Yes.
and we help
Yes.
simplify it, because we do this day in and day out. This is all we talk about ever. So we understand what we're all saying. And for y'all, if there's something that you have questions about, reach out to us. We're very easy to accommodate whatever your situation is. If you need to be maybe bought out of your lease, we can sometimes work those things out as well. Like if you're in an apartment versus you're in an actual home, we would look at your lease agreement and try to find ways to get out. And sometimes we can negotiate those terms for you. But there's always a way to make things happen as long as we have everybody working together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when like refinances, I always try to close people in that first week so they don't make that payment that month or the next month. So they get 2 months of no mortgage payment. And we use that to kind of mentally offset the cost of refinancing. Absolutely. So yes. So like I said, if you do get into buying and it is that herd buying moment and there are things, let us know, because we can definitely work some angles with no contingency or an offer same as cash sort of thing, so that it works out. Hey, you've been listening to the Home Team with Troy and Colton, of course, and our superstar Jena Dubon. How would they reach out to you?
You can give me a call at 512-310-8080.
All right. And this segment was brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. Reach out to us at the QR code or, of course, loansfromtroy.com. Okay, so what you're about to see now is some homes, some listings that we call them our featured listings. If you do end up purchasing any of these homes and you go through this QR code, we will give you 1% off of your interest rate for the first year at no cost to you. And we'll see you in a few minutes. Hello, Austin, Texas, and welcome back to the Home Team with Troy and Colton, and of course, superstar Jena Dubon from On Air Realty. This segment has been brought to you and is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. If you want to reach out to us, we have, of course, the QR code. If you're like me and a little bit older, loansfromtroy.com. That works so much better for people like myself. We do appreciate it all. And so this segment, and this is I do like to talk about that one. This one is the finance part of it. Thank you so much for all the expertise on the real estate department.
Thank you.
In the previous segment. I talk about it all the time. I go over this because growing up, my parents didn't understand money, so I grew up not understanding money. And by the time I understood it, it wasn't that it was too late. It's just that I had to work a lot harder. And so, going over it. And so the big buzzword of the day is affordability, right? Everybody talks about affordability. And so people are like, well, I'd rather put my money, I'd rather rent and just put that money in in a market account and then buy a home. And I'm like, there's some good and bad. For one thing, like, well, S&P earns 10%. Yes, but let's say it takes you $25,000 to to buy a house, right? Well, 10% of that is $2,500, right? So in Austin, we are very, very steady over the last 60 years at 3.9%, right? You exclude the 2 years that it went up, right? Even keep the 2 years that it went down
Talking about
afterwards.
appreciation.
Yeah, appreciation. Exclude those 2 years, that 2021, 2022 where the homes went up. You exclude the 23 and 24 and 25 where they went down. You keep that down period in there, we're still 3.9% over the last 60 years, taking out the 2 best years, right? So my question is, what is 3.9? Let's just use 4 on a $600,000 house.
24,000.
That's $24,000, right? So if you put $25,000 in an investment account, you're going to get $2,500. But if you purchase a $600,000 house, the value goes up by $24,000. So doing both is important.
And you're paying down your mortgage.
Yes,
On top of
yes.
that.
Equity builds, but you getting that 3.9%, right? So it's 24 grand a year in appreciation, right? And you're building it down. You're paying rent no matter what. So why not pay rent that gives you appreciation, right? And so that's why buying a home, but don't get me wrong, I 1000% believe you need to be investing, right? I do think that because of rates and because of home prices and everything, you do need to buy a smaller house, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason for you, if you're trying to move into life, to have a 4,000 square foot home in the middle of a beautiful suburb,
Well, it depends on your goals, right?
Right.
And where you're at in life. Most
Yes.
people, when they're a first-time home buyer, you're not going to live in this home forever. You need a plan to live there for the next 5 to 7 years. That's usually our rule of thumb. And then it needs to be something that's easy to turn into an investment, whether it's the area, right? How many bedrooms, bathrooms. You don't want to have an investment property that's over 3,000 square feet. It's just costs more to take care of it.
Yep.
You have to place a carpet or paint or whatever when you have tenants come through, versus having something that's 1,500 to maybe 2,000 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, like more on the average, right?
Yeah.
Not something that's so grand.
And
Yeah.
a 3,000 square foot investment property, it takes a very niche type of renter that's getting into something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And Kevin Leary straight up says, just buy a smaller house. Don't not buy a house.
Yeah.
And he invests in everything, but he says, just buy a smaller house. That's the only difference you need to be thinking of. But, it's like I said, affordability is that buzzword that everybody's talking about, affordability, because this and this and this. Well, I don't think people realize how much money they waste every single month.
Yeah.
They throw it out, right? So I remember when we first started your budget like 5 years ago, and you were you were freaking out to, when you sat down with me and finally like, I'm surrender, please help me get this fixed.
Yeah.
You thought you were losing money every single month. And we went and we did your budget, we did your bills,
Line
and I'm
by
like,
line.
Colton, there's like $1,000 here every month. What are you doing with it? Well, I don't know. You have an extra $1,000 after your bills, we're talking about bills, right? So then, then all of a sudden, then he started like, okay, so where's that money going? So then that was the next step. We got to figure out where that $1,000 is going. And then once we figured that out, we're like, is that where you want your money to go? Is that where you want your future to be taken from? And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. So then all of a sudden, he literally thought he was broke.
Yeah.
And he had $1,000 of discretionary fund money.
Oh, that's the majority of it.
Yes, and so I think this affordability is because we're being told life's unaffordable, and it's not. We've just, do you really need a $2,000 cell phone?
No.
I mean,
Great
a
question.
$2,000, you have no problem buying a $2,000 cell phone that you have to replace every 3 or 4 years. Most people replace them all the time, but sure, the contract's 2 years, right?
Something like that,
So you have to replace a $2,000 cell phone every 2 years, but you're complaining that your house is unaffordable, and that cell phone is just thrown in the trash, right? Because technology moves so fast, right? And again, that's the thing that when you say life's unaffordable, you really, in my opinion, need to look at what you're spending your discretionary income on, right? And again, $2,000 phone, was it $25 a month to insure it?
Yeah.
Put a $50 OtterBox case on it and take care of it.
I think that's been our kind of like our culture, right? It's like we are a consumer,
Yes.
right? And we'll spend money on things that are not really important. But when it comes to growing our wealth or making the harder choice, right? Like, I don't need to go, I don't know, to this concert. I need to go ahead and put this into this account, make sure that I'm meeting my goals, right? Now we should still be able to set goals and enjoy them.
Yes,
You know?
we left an amount in there for you to spend as you will. You can't make a budget to where there's nothing for you to do because you won't live to it.
Well, and also you locate where that additional $1,000 is going, you limit that down, and then with the rest of the funds that you're not using, you use it to pay things off. So then your $1,000 a month that you have once you pay off a credit card is now $1,100, and then you pay off a car, and now it's $1,500. Like it's that compound thing that you're talking about.
It compounds in debt payment as well. You can compound your debt payment. So it works. So reach out to me on the QR code. I promise if you think you're drowning in expenses and we can fix it, because we're 5 years later from when we had this discussion where you were broke and had very little anything. And today you're debt free except for your home. Debt free except for his home. He's not 30 years old. He has investments. He has no debt except for a home. Now, it took us 5 years, right? And most people don't put the time and energy in. So I had someone that was way out of whack, right?
Yeah.
And like needed to cash out to do this, and there wasn't even enough equity in their home to pay off all their debt. And I'm like, so I built a plan. And I mean, this person was way worse, right? But they made a lot more income, right? And I could get them debt free in 4 years. I showed them on an Excel sheet, debt free in 4 years with the refinance paying. They're like, well, that's just too long. I want to do something else. And I'm like, 4 years? The situation that you're in, we're talking a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, and that's the problem, right? We are in a 15, 20-second TikTok reel world. And to tell someone it's going to take you 4 or 5 years to fix your life, they can't comprehend
that's
it.
the thing. It's like people sometimes they get so overwhelmed, right? Where they will just freeze up, or they'll say, well, I'm waiting for this to happen. And then here they are 5 years, 10 years later in the same position they were 5, 10 years ago. So it's important to come up with a plan, right? And to write those visions that you have out. Like, I have a certain goal. I want to own a home, or want to pay down my debt. I want to be debt free. Write those things down and set up a plan to make that happen. Because if you don't, if it's just a dream you have and you don't put pen and paper to it, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, because dreams are just goals without action. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah, and so
I think I have a poster like that.
Yeah, paying off your house is one of those things as a kid and growing up was, because it's kind of what we were taught. We paid off our house, we could live in it forever till we die, sort of thing. And now that I understand, right? Now that I understand money, that's not always the best thing, right? So depending, because like I said, the S&P 500 has a 100-year history. It's 9.8 something percent right now. That's the average return over 100 years. So I mean, we've gone through it. We went through the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We went through
we didn't.
But I'm just saying, in that 100 years, the Great Depression's in there, right?
Yeah.
It has a 9.8% return on average
Wow,
over
so
100
crazy.
years, right? So, but again, it goes like this, but it really goes like this. Okay, so it's not a ride for the weak of heart, right? You need to know when it's down, that's when it's the best time.
That's when you don't log into that account.
Yeah,
you do not.
You just keep sending money, dollar cost average, and never look, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very important to understand that you need to understand time, right? And so people are like, I'm going to pay cash for a house. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, rates mid-6s. Okay. Do you know that your interest that you pay on your mortgage is tax deductible, right? So by paying that cash, you lose the tax deduction, so your tax is a little bit higher. But what else? You lose the opportunity to invest that money, right?
Very true.
So because now it's in a locked up asset, it's in a box that you can't touch because nobody's, hey, I want to buy a car and I'm going to sell my house in about 10 years, so I'll let you put a lien on my house, and then when I sell it, you'll get paid off. It doesn't work that way.
You make a good point. You actually can touch that. You can call Troy and you can do a refi cash out. And then you can go and take that money and go put it in other investments or buy another investment property. The goal is, and the other really cool thing about that is you do not have to pay capital gain tax on a refi cash out. So we'll have clients where they might have 8 investment properties, right? And out of those investment properties, if they want to pull money, they realign what they're getting in rent, how much it's going to be when they do the refi cash out, how much money they would get from that investment. And then they do that. They get that money tax-free, and then they go buy something else. We do not have to do a 1031 exchange. And mind you, the question I always get asked all the time is, if I sell my residential property that I homestead and I live in, I'm going to do 1031 exchange. You cannot do that. But if you're a married couple, it's up to $500,000, so you don't have to pay capital gains tax. And if you're a single person, it's up to $250,000.
Nice.
Yep.
So, you
Yeah,
know, there's a way to utilize that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that $600,000, unless but you're at that point, you're taking out a loan, right? And
Yeah.
and equity loans are more expensive than primary loans, right?
Very
So,
true.
so you've kind of missed that opportunity, so you have to pay more. But if you're taking out, buying a home, put what you down so the payment is comfortable,
Yeah.
and then put the rest into the market. The market, as we've averaged over the last 100 years, is 9.8%. That's 3% return. Plus, you get the tax deduction on the mortgage interest. So it is not financially wise to pay cash for a home unless there's other things, right?
Yeah.
But for the average person, it's just really not. And when I say average, I'm not an average person, but
Yeah, we just did that loan not too incredibly long ago where they had the funds to pay for this house in full, came to closing with $5,000, left everything in the investment account to where it's still growing because you had that talk with her of, hey, if you just leave this money there, it's going to grow more than if you put it towards this house.
Yeah.
It just made more financial sense to do it that route.
put down just enough to make your payment comfortable,
Yep.
and then leave the rest into that market, and then sweep from the market, and you will actually make more money.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope you've learned something with this one. Please reach out to me on the QR code if you have any questions or loans from Troy. We want to thank you very much. Jena Dubon with On Air Realty. How do they reach out to you?
Give me a call at 512-310-8080.
Yep. And this segment was brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. Hey, in just a second, we're going to show you some featured listings, right? And if you do end up purchasing one of those featured listings and you go through that QR code there and use us, we will give you 1% off of your interest rate for the first year at no charge to you. So we hope you've enjoyed the show today, and we will see you next week.